better shake your booties for Black Girl Nerd.
Hey, welcome to the Black Girl Nerds podcast live. We are so excited to have you guys tuning in with us here. You can watch us live on YouTube or Facebook. If you're watching on Twitter, thank you for joining us. You won't be able to comment with us there, but we appreciate you all the same. You can give us hearts. Also, make sure if you are on YouTube to subscribe. In addition to checking out our podcasts live, we do have lots of great content on YouTube. You can see some great interviews from some notable folks in the entertainment industry. So please like, subscribe, and share with folks that don't know about the Black Girl Nerds YouTube channel. Believe it or not, there are some folks that just do not know. They're not aware.
That subscribe button.
You better hit that subscribe button with a quickness.
Hit it.
Thanks for joining us. Listen, I am excited about this episode. I see that there are folks that are lined up ready for our guest tonight. And I'm excited for our guest because she is killing it in the streets of New York City with these billboards for Batwoman.
Yep.
And we here at Black Girl Nerds have been fierce advocates for Batwoman. Ryanne, also on our YouTube channel, you did like recaps of every episode of season 2.
Yeah. And I wish I would have did it for this season because I was like anything to just keep it in people's faces because we all see it's just even harder when you get somebody at a lead like that and just keep it pushing. So it's like the advertisement and people are aware. So I can't wait. I can't wait for us to get into that later on. But yeah, Jamie gave me a little window and I try to go hardcore for season 2, you guys. So yeah, check it out if you like. Why you subscribing? Check that out too. And hopefully we'll get some more love going here for Batwoman. Keep it going.
Yeah, so much love for Batwoman. I appreciate you doing those recaps. You know, we definitely showed our love as a publication. Also had the opportunity to talk to so many people during the run of season 2. Talked to Javicia.
Yeah, Javicia, Batwoman.
Yeah, did the IG live with Javicia. Also Cameron Johnson. You talked to him, aka
So sweet,
Fox,
so sweet. Yeah,
Batwing. You spoke with Nick Cregan, our Joker.
Yeah, the Black Joker.
And one of our other journalists.
He loves being bad.
Yeah, and then one of our other journalists talked to Robin Givens, who played Jada Jet on the show. So damn near talked to almost the whole cast about one.
Right. Yeah, so we represent.
And I spoke with Megan Tandy.
Oh,
yeah,
sweet. Yeah, Sophie. Yeah, there you go. See, look, y'all. See, we hardcore represent right now. It's Batwoman all day for this episode, so get ready. Don't even be hating in the comments because I'm telling you, it's already ready.
So yeah, I love this. A lot of love for Jade tonight, and she's going to be on shortly. We are going to do our hot topics, so stick with us here really quick while we go over those. We do that on every episode of Black Girl Nerds Podcast Live. We are going to start off on, kind of a bit of a somber note because, for us as Black folks, it's been a rough week. So let's start with this first topic. The massacre that happened in Buffalo, the mass shooting. Obviously mass shootings are like now the norm, which is just, it's disgusting to even have to say that.
Right, absolutely.
But then the fact that this disgusting, vile, I don't even want to call this person a human being, decided to target Black people in this mass shooting just absolutely disgusts me. And let's keep it a buck. Somehow he managed to get out of this alive. I don't know what it is about these white mass shooters
there you go.
that kill, tons of Black folks and managed to get out alive. But what are your thoughts about this whole situation, Ryan?
Yeah, we didn't want, it's kind of like Jamie saying, it's hard to start out on a note like this, but, unless you were hiding out this week, it was all over the news. I know people are feeling a certain type of way going into this week because you're getting tired of it. It's the same headline all the time, over and over again. And just the fact, like Jamie said, he walked away. I saw him pleading like not guilty. I'm like, there's footage everywhere. There's evidence everywhere. It's like, what else do you need? but yeah, I mean, it's just we're talking about Buffalo, New York, predominantly black neighborhood there. There was a supermarket that he intentionally targeted.
Right.
I think he was on Discord where he posted like letters, and he just posted like laid out his whole thing, what was going to go down. And which still baffles me. The FBI is looking into that part of it too, but it still baffles me. He basically sent out everything that he was going to do, what was going to happen, streaming all this stuff, killed 10 people, 50 shots, unloaded 50 shots in there. One of the things recently that just came to light that really surprised me is just so many little different things to the story that's heartbreaking in ways that, you know, you wanted to see the help and you wonder why people weren't there, what was going on. But recently there was a dispatcher that I think has been suspended, a 911 dispatcher, because one of the survivors and one of the people that were able to duck and get down when the shots were fired tried to call 911. And because she was whispering, I don't know if the 911 dispatcher thought she was, you know, joking or playing around. But the dispatcher ended up hanging up on her. And that was like another minute, another second. Somebody could have been there. Somebody could have been figuring out what's going on. And it's just like, well, if she's in that situation, the gunman is probably not far. What is she supposed to do? Like? She's not going to yell out, "Hey, this is going on." He's going to find her. So it's just unbelievable. Like all these little things that keep getting dropped out left and right, evidence that keeps coming out, and that, like Jamie said, this is still happening. It's big. Like it feels like it doesn't even go like a month, and there's another mass shooting headline of some sort. And it's unbelievable. It's just unbelievable the racism that runs in this country and how much deprogramming is going to take. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm curious to know what your thoughts are in the comments. How do you feel about the gun controls in this country, and just the fact that just anybody can get a gun these days, and like not just a regular gun, but an assault rifle, an AR-15, like a weapon of mass destruction, and just kill tons of people in a short period of time. And the fact that this is a conversation we just keep having over and over and over again. I'm so sick and tired of it. So it's really, really, really tragic. And like the whole Discord thing is just interesting to me because I just found this out the other day that like the people behind the Capitol insurrection on January 6th, that they were using Discord as well. So, you know, the people that run Discord, like they got a responsibility. Y'all really need to monitor, you know, the activities in that. So yeah, it's absolutely crazy. AS says it's ridiculous. Should have been rectified decades ago. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, if Sandy Hook wasn't enough to get people shaken up about these laws, what in the world, you know? Lizzie says it's scary. It is scary. Melissa says we don't have gun control. That's why these mass shootings keep happening. Yeah. It's really, really tragic. Marauders Rock says gun control laws really don't exist in this country, and it doesn't seem to be a priority for our lawmakers. No, it really doesn't. Yeah. So it's really, really sad.
It's unbelievable. But yeah, everybody stay safe. And we just had to acknowledge that because we know it's a lot weighing on everybody this week. It's on your mind. So, you know, even though, you know, we're going to escape for it a little bit for the rest of the show, we just want to say, like, you know, we send prayers out for all the victims' families.
Yes.
You know, everybody stay safe. Just be alert, be aware, you know, and just try to lead with love, you know, just a little bit. Hopefully it doesn't sound cheesy or corny, but just try to do something, you know, different, see things a different way, see people's perspective a different way, because it's getting real sickening.
Life is precious.
Headlines. Yeah, life is precious. Yeah, these headlines. I don't want to see any more of it. I'm tired of seeing mass shooting.
Well, speaking of headlines, I don't know, for some reason, she and her ex cannot stay out of the headlines.
Seriously though, yeah.
We're talking about Amber Heard. So the latest is people do not want to see her in the Aquaman movies.
Oh, yeah.
There is a huge petition going on right now. As of Monday, nearly 4.2 million people have signed on to a change.org petition to have her cut from the DC Extended Universe film, which is actually set to arrive in theaters March 17th of next year. This is the Aquaman sequel that we're referring to.
Yeah.
4.2. That's a lot.
Listen, she don't have a Batwoman supporters, y'all. I'm gonna tell y'all right now. We said this because we've been baby you guys like play by play. We've been following the trial for you guys when you play by play what's going on. We said stop talking. Amber Heard, Johnny Depp. We don't want to know everything. Just keep it a secret. Calm it down. And see, this is what happens. You know, the studios are kind of playing with it. You know, they're going with it a little bit, but it's like, nah, they don't want to see this. Like she was talking about in court, they cut down some of her role. Yeah, I'm sure they did. Because it's like when you already shoot the movie and stuff, or you have things in place, you know, you got to go with it. That's the flow of it. But they don't want all this. They don't want all this drama and stuff. She using the bathroom, people bed. They don't. It's like a soap opera every day. They don't want like they don't.
You
want
put
all
it so
this.
nicely. She used the bathroom in people's bed.
Yeah, right. Like I'm just like they don't. But listen, they don't want this stuff. They don't want it. Just stay. I'm just like, why you can't just be quiet? Just be quiet. I don't know why they're still on this. I'm still looking up. It's still on television, y'all, to go watch it. Every little thing they doing. Look, Johnny Depp don't look at Amber Heard. Amber Heard over here wearing something else. They drawing this. Like, I don't understand why. These are two actors that could just do their thing and just keep it pushing. It's like, why are you giving us a soap opera we didn't ask you for? Nobody asked you for this.
Yeah.
They don't get it. They don't get it.
Yeah. AS says, like, it's not enough. She has to publicly go through a domestic abuse case. They said, let him go ahead and take all of her shit, which is great motivation for survivors to speak up. Yeah. Oh, man. It seems like this is the case that just won't end.
Yeah.
Like
yeah. And I'm not saying okay, if it's domestic violence, she needs to have that taken care of. But I'm saying everything that they're putting out in the public. That's what I think the issue is. It's different if you handle it differently, but it's like you literally every day we got a window. It's like that reality show in the courtroom of their lives instead of having this be like a trial that she's going through and figuring out her life situation or her personal stuff on her own. So studios are seeing it. You know, Jamie's probably about to touch on Johnny Depp as well. Like it's hitting him as well. It's just a lot for people to take in.
Very much he said, she said, back and forth.
Yeah.
You don't know who to believe, what's going on. I mean, do you believe what Amber Heard is saying in court? 1 week, I'm like, oh dang, like, wow, what she's saying, I really believe. Like, she's really going through some things. Then the following week, I'm listening to Johnny. I'm like, wow, he's really going through some things. Like, I really don't know who to believe at this point. Honestly, for me, because both of them sound like they're both doing some crazy things to each other.
Yeah.
So, oh yeah, not talking about y'all, talking about money people in general. Yeah, no, we get what you're saying. We totally get what you're saying.
Yeah, we get you, AS. Yeah, we're just saying in general, like, why they putting us through the soap opera?
It's on purpose so Depp can push this defamation case. Yeah. I'll tell you what anybody who is covering this case on YouTube, have you seen the clips on YouTube of
no, I need to go see how people
it's like millions of views per video. It's crazy. Gosh, Amber Heard has already won cases against it. Yeah, it's crazy. And then moving on to Johnny Depp. So Johnny Depp, he apparently Jerry Bruckheimer says that there's no future yet to be decided of his career in movies. Mm-hmm. So
wonder why that is.
So it's coming both ways for each of these folks.
Yeah,
they're both being hit both ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's 2 more of these Pirates of the Caribbean films come out. I don't know what Depp think he doing, but we need him to get focused. Because they ain't got time. They're going to push these movies in the studio, figure out what's coming next. Because he's already did like 5 of them. So maybe he ain't worried about it. I don't know. But there's a couple more coming out that he can kind of complete, keep them on this roster. But I mean, I guess neither one of them are hurting for money. But I'm just saying, if you got a good thing going, you got these projects coming in, why give people more stuff to like add on or talk about or just think you've lost it? Because like Jamie said, it's no clear person, no clear winner or anything. You're just going back and forth, back and forth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so lots of drama with the Amber Heard and Depp thing. It just seems like it never ends.
Yep.
But on to people that we actually care about.
Seriously, though.
So, why is her picture not showing up here? Oh, there we go.
Hey, Janet Jackson.
Hey, Janet Jackson.
I like the outfit.
She helps honor Mary J. Blige at the Billboards. Do you want to talk about this, Ryan?
Yeah, so I'll give you guys like little quick notes before we get into it. Jamie, I don't know how long you want to keep the picture up, but I'll try to be real quick. I'll give you guys a little bit here. So this past Sunday, May 15th, was the Billboard Awards, MGM Grand Garden Arena. Sean Combs, P. Diddy, plus I don't know what he's going by these days. He was the host. Drake, Olivia Rodrigo, they picked up most of the awards. So that was pretty cool. Top R&B female artist was Doja Cat. Top rap female artist was Megan Thee Stallion. They also had some cool performances and everything. So just, give you some things off the top for the Billboard Awards in case you want to miss it. They got clips out like everywhere. They're just popping up every 25 seconds if you want to go and check all that stuff out. But yeah, so back to what Jamie's picture was of the wonderful Janet Jackson. She, guys, just surprises the whole audience. Like nobody knows. She just walks out on stage. Of course, she gets the standing ovation and cheers for like as well deserved. Cheers for like 30 minutes where she couldn't even speak. She was laughing herself because the cheers just kept going and she was trying to get it out. Because she just, when you Janet Jackson, you don't announce it, right? You surprise the whole audience and just show up. You don't do an announcement. So it was so cool to see her there. Iconic herself. And I know Mary J. Blige is probably about to lose it to see her just walk out and be able to present this award. But yeah, so Mary J. Blige was getting a 2022 Icon Award for the Billboard Awards. Her outfit, by the way, too, like you guys go Google the Billboard Awards, and I'm sure it's gonna pop right up for Mary J. Blige. That outfit was insane. Like the workout plans for Miss Janet Jackson, Miss Jackson, and Mary J. Blige. Go ahead and sign me up for what their workout plans are, because it's insane. Like it's crazy. So yeah, that outfit was cool. But yeah, it was just like, and you hear Janet Jackson like put like basically in her sentence of kind of trying to show praise to Mary J. Blige. She kind of intertwined some of her songs and lyrics to Mary J. Blige songs. It's like hearing Janet Jackson say that is really cool. And just hearing one part of Mary J. Blige's speech I thought was so cool was she said she's always been ghetto and fabulous, and now everybody else wants to be ghetto and fabulous. And kind of talking about her start and how she was judged and starting out and just where she's come now and how long she's been doing this in the business. Just kind of gives you, the sense of how real she is and why we love her so much. So yeah, I just thought it was a cool, sweet moment to bring up. If you take anything from the Billboard Awards, I feel it was that moment. Those two icons on the stage, everything that's been going on this year, to kind of see those two Black women give each other praise and hold each other up. And, Mary J. Blige all day. You can name like singles, real, just fine, like all, off the top of your dome where Mary J. Blige has been a part of it. Like she's on the Breakup soundtrack. She's on the Getting Your Life Together soundtrack. So it was just so cool to see her get that Icon Award. So yeah, well deserved. I'm glad we're giving and always back to giving flowers while everybody's still around. I love that part.
And I asked the question, did you watch the Janet Jackson documentary? AS says, listen, Janet Jackson's documentary, whole family's life was on pause for those 2 days. Came out a completely different person.
That I want to see it. I haven't seen it yet. I want to see it. I haven't seen it. Yeah, I haven't seen the time to see it. I heard really good things about it. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, it's so dope. Well, I won't talk too much about it if you haven't seen it, because it's amazing. It's incredible. And I was surprised that she was so candid. And let's just say I'm giving Jermaine Dupri all the side eye.
Oh, I was wondering about that. Okay, cool. Yeah, I definitely got to watch it again. I was wondering about that. All right, cool. I want to know.
That was truly iconic, having Mary J. Blige and Janet Jackson together.
So dope. Yeah.
So yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I love both of them. They're amazing, iconic women. So there's another comic book character that we're excited for seeing. We saw a little bit of her so far, but we're going to be seeing more of her soon.
Yeah.
Echo.
Yeah, I like it.
So yeah, the Echo, we saw her in Hawkeye.
Yes.
Did you watch the Hawkeye series?
Lopez. I saw one episode. I did not finish it. And I feel like it's gonna be my duty to go back and finish it, because you just had to. I feel like you gotta watch all these TV shows, all these movies, just because I'm just a Marvel fan. But a lot of people didn't seem like, a lot of people are like, okay, it was there. It's like the reaction I always get. Like nobody ever really says a lot about Hawkeye, but I really do want to go back and finish it. I only seen like one or two episodes, so I want to go back and look at it. But
I'm be honest with you, I have not seen Hawkeye, so that's the.
Well, people are like,
people
are like, if you want to, like every time I ask somebody, that's the reaction I get. They're like, I guess you could watch it. So I feel
but
like
I'm
Echo
excited for the Echo show. I do want to
right.
see. I want to see her own show.
Yeah, I think this is going to help it. But she was part of that, in case you're wondering, in case you want to see a little something. She was part of Hawkeye, but I think this is going to help. See, people are like they liked her in Hawkeye. So
I liked her in Hawkeye.
Yeah, maybe this will help Hawkeye out. You know, poor guy. You know, he tried.
Not me just understanding that's Echo. Thank God for this podcast. You're welcome. That's what we're here for.
We got you, AS. We got you. All the details.
We got you on this, you know? So it's really going to be streaming exclusively on Disney, the origin story of Echo. It's going to revisit Maya Lopez, whose ruthless behavior in New York City catches up with her in her hometown. She's got to face her past, reconnect with her Native American roots, and embrace the meaning of family, community, and if she ever hopes to move forward. So we're excited for it. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's gonna be dope. So yeah, bring, like you said, Native American roots, all that connection. Seeing her transform. Anytime it's something different, I'm just ready for it. I'm ready for something cool, something different on the screen. So it's gonna be cool.
Absolutely. Marauders Rock says it's tough. Haley Steinfeld killed it, but I don't like Jeremy Renner. Okay, yeah, Jeremy Renner's mostly the reason why I was just like, am I really ready to see a show centered around him?
Yeah.
But I will go see it. I mean, I'll eventually tune in when I have some time.
Should we give them like a Hawkeye episode? We finally watched it.
We should. We should
start it out with the headline. We finally watched Hawkeye.
Yeah, we finally watched Hawkeye.
Yeah, that'll be our thoughts. Yeah.
Karina, I'm excited for her for so many reasons. I'm interested to see her background. Plus, it's going to bring Daredevil into the picture. And I'm super excited to see more characters with disabilities in a non-stereotypical way. Karina, great point, because they just announced that Daredevil is going to be coming to Disney Plus. I can't wait, because that, next to Luke Cage, is my favorite Marvel TV series. I absolutely loved Daredevil when that first came out. It was brilliantly done. I love Fisk. I just love all of those characters. I can't wait. And Charlie Cox is amazing. Saw him at Dragon Con a few years back, and he's great.
That's so cool.
So I can't wait for that. AS says, I get you. Jeremy Renner's not my favorite, but excited for Haley and love Haley and Florence together. And we did our Black Widow podcast, and we were fangirling over Florence. So
Florence, y'all, boy, they're not ready. Florence gonna come out that box. I'm trying to tell you right now, she got more to give them. I love it.
AS, you convinced me. I'm gonna go watch Hawkeye this weekend.
I mean, we got some time.
Corlin says yes. I'm sure that yes is to the Daredevil sentiment. Marauders Rock. There's some good Daredevil tie-ins on this Hawkeye show. Okay.
Okay, Daredevil tie-ins. Okay.
Y'all got us convinced. We need to watch. All right. So really quick, we really appreciate these comments. I do want to get to our next bit of news before we move on to our guest. And this is a nice tie-in before we get to our guest, because this actress who we love, who we've interviewed, who is the center of our conversation tonight. Yes.
Hey, Batwoman,
Javicia Leslie, who we stan. She did something pretty awesome supporting Leah Jeffries. You want to talk about this, Ryanne? Because you brought this to my attention.
Yeah, so the production has started on a Disney Plus series, Percy Jackson and the Olympians. Leah Jeffries is going to play Annabeth Chase. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. But originally in the books, it was a white character. So we already know where this is going, right? How this is going to go down. So she's 12 years old, keep in mind. She received so much hate in these comments and just people just going left. This young Black girl just trying to try something out different. She probably is into the magic, the supernatural of her first, reign with all of this, and people just trying to tear her apart. And so Javicia Leslie remembers, going into Batwoman, how it was for her. She was coming in after the whole thing with Ruby Rose, them trying to find a place for a Black Batwoman. So she's like, she rallied all her troops. We know we're about to talk about how strong her fan base is. We're part of how strong her fan base is. And she was calling on everybody. She said ASS love her absolutely. Because she was like, listen, I need you guys to rally behind Leah Jeffries. I need you to stand with her. Don't let her go out like this. Let her feel that love and support, that light, because she's starting out. She doesn't need all this hate. Some people from the cast were jumping in. Some of the people behind the scenes trying to protect her, because it's just sad that the 12-year-old was going into this role and all the hate she received. Just racist comments and stuff that she didn't need deserve to be seen. Like, people just need to let this production happen. Change. Sometimes you just have to accept change and do something different. Like, I understand it's in the books, that's how it is, but the world doesn't always look like these books, right? Like, it's time to mix it up, to keep opening people's minds. And this is why you have to do this. The fact that this 12-year-old girl can't go into this role like this and just enjoy herself and concentrate on the film process because everybody's coming at her left is the reason why this needs to continue to happen. And why, like, I'm excited for this conversation we're going to have today. Again, shout out to Javicia Leslie for stepping up and trying to make her feel comfortable. Also, she is co-starring with Leah Jeffries in Something from Tiffany's, is another reason how they're kind of like bond and connection. That coming out soon. So that's another reason why they kind of bonded together and she came to her rescue in that sense. But yeah, I mean, every time you hear one of these stories, again and again, this is why representation is important. This is why it doesn't need to be stopped, because every time there's a break and then you try to randomly come back and bring a show in, the hate comes back, because people don't understand how important it is to keep this in people's, how important imagination is and how important visual representation is for people to see. So this little girl can just go to set, live in her little Percy Jackson and Olympian world and do her thing. Like, she don't need all the stuff coming from the left and people hating on and, oh, the book got to look like this and you got to do it like this. If the show is good, they put in the hard work, they come and work representing, that's all you need. That's just my 2 cents on it.
And her tweet, which I couldn't find her tweet from the article that was referenced in the Bleeding Cool, but she says, "Hey family, I really need your help. My amazing co-star from Something from Tiffany's, Leah Sava Jeffries, has been cast as Annabeth in the new Percy Jackson show. Similar to my character, the character is described in the books as white. Unfortunately, similar to my experience." So that's what she tweeted out, supporting Leah Jeffries. So she's amazing.
Yeah, I just love that support. It was so cool for somebody to come to her rescue and be like, look, y'all need to stop. Just cut it out. Dead it right here. Because I know Leah Jeffries was like, okay, maybe I just need to cut it off. I don't know what to do. I don't know what, So that's just a lot for somebody to take in.
Yeah. And it was such a great opportunity having to interview her, because I interviewed her for a print interview that we had done a while back on Black Girl Nerds. You interviewed her on Instagram Live, and she's always just been consistently sweet and humble. And she's always like, oh, you guys are so supportive. So I just like having a chance to converse with like people in entertainment that just really appreciate the space that they're in. And Javicia is just one of those people. And it's absolutely, it's awesome to have interacted with her. And we will not see the last of her. We will be seeing her very, very soon.
Oh yeah. We're putting that out into the
depending on where this campaign goes, we might be seeing her sooner than enough. So speaking of that, we're going to show you a quick video, and then we're going to bring in our guest soon, which hopefully she'll be arriving shortly. Let me go to your comments too here. Sonia James, when the author gets to pick the actress she wants, the haters need to shut up. Hello.
There you go. Boom.
Corlin says, period.
Yeah, period. There you go.
Yes, you think with the 957 million other shows where all or almost all the characters are white, they'd be happy, but man, they greedy. I mean, yeah.
Hey, yeah, say it for the people in the back, please. Thank you. Just say it for the people in the back.
Exactly. All right. So let's go ahead and bring in this video, and then our guest isn't here yet, but hopefully she'll be popping in soon, and then we'll get started with the interview. Awesome. Welcome, Jade Hendrix to the show. So I get my windows together.
What's up, Jade? That's so dope. That's so dope.
There we go.
I love that.
So Jade is a Black queer writer currently based in Philadelphia. When she's not at her day job or working on the Save Batwoman campaign, she can be found writing her next manuscript. Her debut novel, Rashad Flew into the Sky, was published in October of 2020. Congratulations. Or scolding her cat Saunter for sitting in the middle of her bed. I can relate. Jade, welcome to the Black Girl Nerds podcast. Great to have you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, number one, kudos to you for creating this campaign. I mean, we've seen this before where fans coalesce together to create these hashtags that trend on Twitter, that trend on social media, wanting to bring back their favorite shows. And sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. But you're taking it a step further. You're going into New York City and you're putting billboards up, which I don't think anybody has done that before. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't seen it. But what compelled you to even go to that step in putting up billboards to save Batwoman?
Well, I met a group of people while watching the show, and I was like, oh, I want friends who also watch the show so I can talk about it with them. And so I met this group of people. There's like 15 or so of us. We call ourselves Goat Gang. Shout out to the Goat Gang. And we all watch the show, and we like freak out over it every week. And I formed a really nice friendship with these people. Like, we've only known each other, I think I want to say like 6 months or so, but I talk to them every day. Like, they're really great people, and I really appreciate them for everything that they've done for me and for the show. And so that evening that it got canceled, we actually all got on a voice call, and we were talking about it because everyone was very upset, of course, including myself. And I was just listening to all of my friends and hearing how angry they were about this cancellation because it just doesn't make any sense, and thinking about the actors involved. And I said, this really sucks. I hate this. I'm very upset as well. So if you have to cry. If you want to scream, please scream. But when you are done doing that, we're going to get to work and we're going to try to get this show back. And so we ended up staying up that whole night talking about ideas for the campaign. And I remembered that the show Lucifer actually did a Billboard campaign to get them picked up by Netflix, which worked. And they were able to get, like, I think 3 more seasons or so. And so I was like, yo, what if we did that? What if we put up a bunch of billboards everywhere with fan art that says Save Batwoman, aimed at Warner Brothers and HBO Max, since the first 3 seasons are currently streaming on that network. And I was just like, do you think this is a good idea? And all my friends were just like, say less, like, let's do it, And so we thought of it that Friday night all together as a group. And then that Saturday, we had the GoFundMe up and ready, so the fans could come in and donate and help us book these billboards because they are not cheap. And so by the next Friday, just a week after the cancellation, we had the first billboard up in New York City, I believe, on Broadway, just a few blocks, I think, from Times Square. And Javicia saw it, and a few people wrote articles about it, which was the goal. I mean, we want HBO Max and Warner Brothers ultimately to see what we're doing and see how much we care about these characters and these actresses, and hopefully pick up the show for a 4th season on HBO Max.
That's amazing. And I see people in the comments saying, like, you mentioned Lucifer, someone else said Winona Earp. So it seems like the billboard element has been pretty successful historically when it comes to these networks reconsidering picking these up. So I'm just curious, making this decision to go the billboard route, how do you get the funding for this? Do you do crowdsourcing? Is this something where this is coming out of your own pocket? How do you decide to go with that?
It was both, because the thing is that night when we were all talking about it, while we were talking, I was trying to do some research on how much billboards cost, to book, because I figured they were pretty expensive. And they were less expensive than I anticipated, but they were still very expensive. And so I said, you know, maybe we could create a GoFundMe, and other fans who also want to see the show come back can donate to it, and we can use those donations to book the billboards. So that's what we did. And, you know, everyone in our group has donated multiple times, like, you know, so we're putting our own money into this as well. Especially my friend TQ, who actually created that video that you played. She goes by the Vapors with a Z and a 1 on Twitter. And she's
well done editing, by the way. That was
nice.
She does tons of Batwoman edits. She's really amazing at it. And she creates that art for the show, but she also did the art for the very first billboard. And she's been like really instrumental in helping me book them as well. Which I don't know how she finds the time with her day job, you know, but because it is hard, you know, and it takes a lot of emailing back and forth to get things right. But we're just like, in order to get shows back, you really got to show the networks that they're worth saving. You have to show them that the fan base is there. And I think that it's so important to, you know, get the shows trending on Twitter, stuff like that. But it's also important to put these things in the real world so people can see them and they can't ignore it. You know, when you're walking down the street, a lot of these billboards are huge, they're lit up. You can't really ignore it when it's right in your face. You know what I mean? And it's not, and we put them in New York, kind of near where we figured maybe they'd see it. Consider it was a highly populated area. We have Bryant Park is up this week, and we have a billboard on Sunset currently in LA, and there's one in Atlanta, I believe, right now as well. So people are seeing them, but in addition to that, we're also doing a mail-in campaign because I've known that that has worked also for shows in the past. So last Friday we did our first run of it, and we sent in paper batarangs to the network headquarters that say "Save Batwoman" on it. So not only are they getting a visual, you know, every single day somewhere in America or perhaps overseas in the future, but they're also getting the physical right where they work. And I think that the constant reminder, and also seeing that fans are willing to go out of their way to buy the supplies to do this, to write on every single envelope, to go and put them into the mailbox, that takes more effort than sending a tweet a lot of the time. So we want to keep getting these physical signs out in the world so that the network sees that we're serious about this show, and that if they give Batwoman a season 4, we're all going to be tuned in. And honestly, like I personally believe that Batwoman would thrive on HBO Max. HBO Max has been known to have a lot of Black women as leads. You know, we had Insecure for years with Issa Rae. We have a Black Lady sketch show, which is so hilarious. We also had I May Destroy You with Michaela Cole. I love all of those shows. So good. So I'm just like, why not add Batwoman to the lineup? I mean, it's great representation, first of all. It's kind of insane to me that we have a Black Batwoman, but not only is she Black, but she's a lesbian. I mean, it's extremely groundbreaking. But also, you the other thing about the show is you have 2 Black lesbian characters on the show, and they're both main characters, and that is so rare to see. Like, we see ourselves as side characters often, or like the best friend to the main character, but this is the first time a Black lesbian superhero has had like a chance to be on television and love someone who looks like her. And she's also one of the first Black lesbian superheroes that we've seen on television, which is kind of ridiculous to me considering how long comic books have existed. You know, we had Nafisa Williams, who was on Black Lightning, and she did an amazing job as well. And you know, I love the show. Naomi also has a Black lead. Like CW, they have the capacity to hire Black people, queer people, but I guess they don't know how to prioritize them. You know, considering that Naomi was canceled along with several other shows. It's kind of insane the amount of shows they canceled at one time. Like, I can't believe it. And nearly every single one of those shows featured a lead who was a person of color, who was Black, or who was queer, or had queer friends, you know? So I don't think it's coincidence that they decided to only keep the shows with the Black people playing football and the Asian people doing martial arts. You know? It's very obvious what they're doing, you know. But I do think HBO could be a fantastic home for Batwoman. Like I said, considering the lineup, it honestly could thrive there. I think that they could get away from the hate the CW often gets when it comes to queer baiting. That's like a huge thing. A lot of people claim they didn't want to watch the show because they didn't want to have to experience queer baiting, even though the main character is canon. She's a lesbian, it's canon. That's not changing, so you can't really queer bait when it's the person is queer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people just didn't want to watch the show because of that. I think that HBO Max will open the show up to tons of new viewers who maybe haven't even heard of the show, but didn't want to give it a chance because of the network it was on, you know. And I just think it's very important because I could be wrong, but I can't think of one show on HBO Max currently that features a Black lesbian as a lead, and I don't see why we don't have Ryanne be the first. I think that would be fantastic. I really think that the fans want to see what else her story has to tell. As far as her and Sophie go, that was like a main part of season 3, but Megan Tandy, who plays Sophie, actually didn't get a lot to do outside of that. And I think that it's really important that we see how her story progresses too, because she didn't even have a job in season 3. Which, because she had quit the Crows. But why not have her do something else? Why relegate the Black woman to the love interest? You know, it's like, that's
right.
what they are. It just
Make
same
her
thing
fully
with Candace
fleshed.
Patton. Yeah, like, Candace Patton, a lot of people, me included, started watching The Flash because she was cast as Iris. That was like,
Yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was so
that was me.
To see. And, her character's been sidelined a lot too, and from what I've seen on Twitter, it's turning off a lot of viewers because they're like, wow, I started the show for this character, like she's a huge badass, but now she's just the wife, and it's not fair. And Megan Tandy shouldn't have gotten the same treatment in season 3 of Batwoman, and I would love to see them expand upon her character as well as her family, her career. Like, it's very important, and she went from being a Black woman, a Black queer woman who was in the military, who had to hide who she was, and going into law enforcement and realizing that no one person can fix it because the justice system isn't broken. It's running exactly the way it's supposed to. So I think a lot of people can relate to that, myself included. Like, I wouldn't say that I was ever on the side of law enforcement, but I had law enforcement in my family, and I did think that they were inherently doing the right thing. But I realized as I grew up that was absolutely not the case. So it was interesting watching another Black queer woman go through the same thing. And hopefully we can get them back to continue other character stories as well. But I'm so sorry, but the fact that we have 2 Black leads and in Megan and Javicia is just absolutely insane. And I can't believe that the CW would let them go. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that was a big thing for me. And why I was so excited to talk to you, because I was just like, are they watching the same show we're watching? Because the chemistry between these 2 women is amazing on camera, where you can see, like, we want to see Megan Tandy, we want to see Sophie do other things because we see her, we know how badass of an actress she is, and she could do both. She doesn't have to just be there, for that relationship trope, and you can show different levels to her. I was like, she's still putting together weapons. She's still saving the day, even though, she doesn't have a job right now, and she's fitting into that world. And a lot of stuff in this last season that you're touching on, this stuff was catalyst to changing the game and changing how people see things, how they see Black women. And it was like, oh no. When we got to that season finale, it was like, cut. And so you have so many questions of like, was it, how much of it was, okay, the CW was getting taken over, the money thing, everything's run by the dollar. But, or, how much this was going to mean to people. Like, you're talking about your personal experience, how it meant to you. We got a little bit in Black Lightning, but it didn't go all the way there. So having these 2, having these 2 leads, what they represent, and just like, and we had an Asian Poison Ivy, we had a Black Joker. They were hitting so many notes, and I was like, if they're given the space, if this stuff is backed off a little bit, this show can mean so much to so many people, because it's so out of the box. They were trying things left and right because she tried, but there was no way she was going to have a space for herself in season 2 to carve out what she wanted, because she was coming on a harder trail. Everybody was like, okay, we got this Black Batwoman, but where does she fit? We're all watching the show and we're like, where is she at? In season 3, she busted out of that box. Well, so season 2 into season 3, and it's like, and I'm with you. I'm like, I don't see how you stop this story. And I give you so much credit for just coming out like saying, hey, listen, we need to do something about this. It can't just stop here. Because a lot of us, like I was like your group of friends sitting there in my feelings that day, and I'm like, well, what do we do? What do we say where this doesn't become a norm? Because it was like left and right. Because Black Lightning was the first hit for me, where I was like, why? There were so many different ways the show could have gone, so many different plots. You don't see the backing behind the camera, the Achilles was different, and it didn't make any sense why they had this 4th season or whatever and they were done. So it's very cool to see you and your friends try to step up and not just make it like a conversation of just a chat, like, hey, we're going to do something. I want to ask you though, to kind of give people a little inside scoop of like the show, that if they're not familiar with the show, what were some of your like favorite scenes, favorite moments from like Batwoman or the Wildmore scenes that were your favorite?
I really loved, first of all, shout out to Robin Givens for appearing in season 3 of Batwoman.
Yeah.
I really loved the scene where her character was about to be introduced to Ryanne. And Ryanne was clearly extremely nervous, and Sophie was just like, look, you got this. Like, you're a strong, confident Black woman. You're going to kill it. And if she has a problem with you, she can skate, as far as I'm concerned, you know? That was really cute. Also finding out that Megan Tandy was purposely checking Javicia out in that scene because of Wildmore was, it was hilarious to discover that. So that was definitely one of my favorite scenes, but I also love the scene in the episode numbers escaping me, but when they were in the cabin in the woods, and Luke, clearly traumatized after the experiences he had, is convinced that he could never be a hero because he's constantly failing himself, basically. And Ryan's like, yo, like, we mess up all the time. Like, everyone screws up, and just because you screw up, it doesn't make you any less of a hero. It doesn't make you any less of a good person. Like, you can always be a better person tomorrow than the person you were today, but that doesn't mean you give up on the person you are today. Like, you know what I mean? And I'm glad that she and Sophie were able to get him out of his head during that episode, especially after he ended up saving the life of that kid, because we don't get to see that often on TV, Black men dealing with their trauma. And that's why it was so important for us to see that. So that's definitely another one of my favorite episodes for sure.
Yeah, just shout out to the and you know, Phil, Jamie, anytime you want to jump in, but shout out to just like the Batwing, the character of Batwing, like you said, you don't get to see it all the time. And he saved this little white boy in the forest. You know, he was the one that came to the rescue. It was nobody else there. You know, and seeing him fully step into that and develop that, and like you said, his own trauma that he was dealing with his dad, and seeing him go past that. He dealt with being shot, the police, another shot by, it's not police, it was the Crows in a different situation, but it was still that same outlook of like stuff he had to deal with, and him coming out on the other side and making him a hero instead of us having to see the other side of what this is on a day-to-day basis. All these little things that Batwoman represented for it. So yeah, this is definitely a conversation that has to continue. And then I'm so, like I said, shout out to you, your team, for putting this out in the forefront so they don't forget it, because they will. And then as soon as it's like 2-3 years later, you try it again, then they're like, oh no, whoa, that was too much. So season 2, we're not doing season 3 on that. So it's important to keep that conversation going. But I'm curious, what because I'm just gonna keep throwing out, we look at you guys' comments and stuff like that, where we kind of fangirl out on dive into the show a little bit here so people can see how much it meant. What was it? Do you have any favorite fight scenes of Batwoman? Because look, I want to tell people too here, Javicia, she did a lot of her stunts. Like if you check out like her IG and stuff like that, she was a badass. She would go around with like the bow. She was jumping off of things. Like people don't think about that either, how much work that takes to jump into this character.
Exactly. My favorite fight scene is her fight scene in, I believe it was episode 11 of season 3, where she's fighting Victor's ass in her mother's office. That was badass. Insane to me.
Yeah, that was dope.
I'm gonna freak out, but like she's whooping his ass in a pastel suit, like.
Yeah, she is. Yeah,
like that was insane to me. But and also the fight choreography was just ridiculous. And also, I thought it was kind of funny. My friends were talking about this the other night, that all Jada had to do was watch Ryanne fight to realize she was Batwoman. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, she was like, "Oh, that's why you didn't save me earlier."
Right, that's why she's not here. Interesting. So
Yeah, that was a dope
my
scene.
fight scene. Javicia, her fight scenes are really great, but that's another reason why we need a season 4. We barely got any fight scenes with Sophie this season. She was extremely sidelined. And I don't think that's fair to her character. I want to see her beat somebody's ass too.
Yeah, and she's good with the weapons. Like, she's the only one on the team. She always points out she knows the weapon. So it's like, put her in there. I'm like, I feel like she should have her own little security firm thing or something, like some sort of security something where she can like back it up and, you know, back up Javicia and her team and stuff like that, where she can kind of fit in there. I think that would be something cool. Like, if we get a season 4 for something her to explore to do something different.
I think that would definitely be something that that fits her. But I know also there's a lot of people who want to see Sophie become Catwoman as well. I don't know if you've seen people talk.
Yeah, I saw that. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, my friends and I came up with like this whole scenario one night of how it would happen and everything that would occur, and we were just like, wait, we should like tell them to do this. This is a really good idea. It comes to find out that Megan Tandy was actually interested in that becoming a plot point. I think she's the one who pitched it to the writers. If I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, that's cool.
And it was supposed to allude to it with Catwoman's whip in that season finale when she was going to find the Penguin's umbrella.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Yeah,
like,
that's cool.
Super badass, and have Megan Tandy of all people following the footsteps of Eartha Kitt, and then Halle Berry, and Zoe Kravitz is the latest Catwoman. Like, I just think she'd be perfect for the role. It just makes so much sense. And how cool would it be to see Catwoman dating Batwoman, and they're both black?
That would have been dope. I didn't even think about that. It's so cool. Yeah, see, this is what happens when you cut the show off. See, I'm thinking HBO Max is getting all these little breadcrumbs, and they're ready for like how they can turn this out, because they don't have a box. You don't have that box when you go on HBO Max.
Exactly. I honestly, I've been saying, we've all been saying, my friends and I have all been saying since before we even found out about the cancellation, that it just made so much more sense for the show to be on HBO Max. Like, the CW, for lack of better words, is very corny. And I think that HBO Max, with the budget HBO Max gets, like, I'm just imagining, the wardrobe. I'm imagining how different the sets would be.
They definitely have the budget. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And like,
they can hire more. They can hire better writers too. Writers that can create better story arcs and structures and stuff like that. So that would be helpful.
Yeah, and maybe some writers who listen to their actors a little bit more. I know that they did listen to Javicia, because I think she was the one who asked if Ryanne could be vegan, because she's vegan in real life. But it would have been really nice to see what Megan wanted to do with her character in a season 4. And I'm really hoping that HBO Max takes this opportunity. Honestly, I don't see any cons in doing it. I think it could be a hit show on the network. The show, the season 1 to 3, that's already streaming on HBO Max, it does very well on the network. So why not just renew it and have it be on your show on your channel in the first place? I just think that makes more sense. So.
What do you think about the culture of where we are with television? I mean, this is kind of a deeper existential question, but I'm just curious to know your thoughts, because when I think about television back in, and I don't know how young you are, I'm a woman of a certain age. I'm probably way older than you are, but when I think about movies or TV shows back in the 90s, they were given more opportunities to fail, or even opportunities to grow, I should say. One of the greatest genre TV shows of all time, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Season 1 was mediocre as hell. And I think that even if a season 1 were to air today, probably, arguably, may not have gotten renewed for a season 2. And I'm curious to know what your thoughts are, because I'm thinking, maybe back in the 90s, the competition wasn't so fierce because there weren't that many shows on different networks. First of all, there weren't that many networks. Streaming wasn't around back then. And the CW is competing so fiercely for ratings and vying for the attention of these ADD viewers now that have all of these shows to as options. But why do you think that they just like are so heavy with greenlighting these shows, which we're excited for, that represent inclusion and diversity, but then they're so quick to just take them away from us when they don't gain enough traction and not give these shows an opportunity to get legs, like Buffy the Vampire Slayer season 1, or even as recent as, The Walking Dead season 1, arguably wasn't that great of a season, but it was given a chance to, get its footing and grow some legs over time. So what are your thoughts about that?
I think that a lot of networks now, I've actually thought this for a while, that a lot of the time maybe they greenlight certain shows so they can say, we have Black people on our network, we have queer people on our network. I don't know what y'all talking about. That show over there got a Black person and a queer person on it. Like, you better go watch it, girl. And then when they might have views that are a little bit lower than the next show that they have, suddenly they're just like, all right, well, obviously nobody's watching this, we're just gonna cancel it. And it in this case is not true, because Riverdale's numbers are under, I think, 200K an episode this season, and Batwoman definitely did better. But I think they do that and then they cancel the shows, and then when people get upset, they're just like, hey man, we tried it, but it turns out it didn't work. And I think that that's on purpose. And I think they know that if they gave it another chance, gave it a couple of more seasons, that it would thrive, it would do better, but they got to cut it off before they have to worry about having an even bigger fan base to upset. If you get rid of them while they're small enough, they might not have a chance to come back. And you can never say, well, this network doesn't like Black people, or this network doesn't like queer people, because they can hit you right back with, well, we had these shows, but nobody watched them. And it's just not true.
Yeah, somebody said lack of advertisement. That's huge. They don't promote. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like that space that you would have at an HBO or something like that. And I remember when I was in my feelings when it first happened, I was like, can we just get a network, right, that will promote these Black superhero shows to keep this diversity going? Because it feels like you gravitate to one, right? You get one and it's like, nope, that can't keep going. We can't do this. Or it's like, you don't see the interviews popping up, but they want to talk about their characters and how excited they are. Like when they get a chance to get on like an IG live or something, or just share like what their behind the scenes experience is in these roles. And they talk about like the hair and the makeup and the stunts and everything, because it's different. It's something different out of the box that's for us. They look like us, the superheroes look like us. And it's just like, I'm like, can we just get our own little lane, our own little space where somebody will let these shows flourish and grow and try to understand it? Like, because you're not going to understand everything right now because it's not done all the time. But if they're given like a space to kind of, breathe a little bit and understand what these Black superheroes will look like, they're not going to fit the white superheroes, they're not going to fit their counterparts. They need their own lane to kind of, flesh that out a little bit more. And to see what that looks like. So yeah, I mean, I totally agree with all what you're saying. It's like that cutoff point, so you don't have to worry about how many people you're disappointing. It's something that you tried, but then you're leaving all the fans hanging, all the fans out here that are watching these other shows, but finally get something where it looks like them, and it's like, well, give it a chance.
Right.
Yeah. I feel like CW needs to just stick to what they know and stick to like the soap opera teen shows, like the Pretty Little Liars, the
Vampire Diaries,
the Riverdales, like stick to those shows, and those don't require like a really big budget. But then big budget shows like Batwoman that have explosions and fight choreography, and big elaborate sets. Yeah, that HBO Max, like a big streamer, needs to instead pilot those shows, because then it can get the support that it deserves. But I understand that CW, thinks that there's an opportunity for those IPs because they do like those superhero shows and they see the benefit in that. But if you can't support those shows and you have a very limited budget, which includes your marketing budget, then don't tank on those shows, because then you leave us fans, by the wayside when you cancel it and you don't give those shows a proper opportunity to like I said before, to get their footing, so.
A couple, speaking of shows, I want to throw out for you ladies too, to get your thoughts on this. and I'm not sure, I haven't dug too much into the background, so you guys want to put in the comments or add in, but I saw there's a show called Tom Swift, and there's also Gotham Knights.
Oh yeah,
What do you
Tom
think
Swift.
about these? Yeah, what do you guys think about these shows making appearance on CW with all that we're going through? Like, I already see Jay's face because this is what I was thinking too, and I was like, oh god, because with everything we're already going through on the network.
There's a lot of theories about what's going on with Gotham Knights. I can't speak to the other show because I don't really know much about it. But
Yeah,
it seems that a few of the writers may have gone from Batwoman may have gone over to Gotham Knights, and a lot of fans feel like, myself included, to be completely honest, feel like the writers may have dropped the ball on the last season of Batwoman because they knew they were already moving on to this other show, which I think is very strange because, I mean, from what I've seen of the Gotham Knights cast, there seems to only be one Black woman on the show.
that's what I saw on the poster.
Yeah, and I honestly fear for her because the CW, the network, has a huge history of its racist fanboys and even people who don't actually watch anything on the show having a lot to say to the Black women who portray these characters. You know, we already talked about Candace Patton going through it for 8 seasons on The Flash, getting death threats. It's absolutely ridiculous. Kat Graham went through it as well because the character she was playing on The Vampire Diaries was white in the book series, and so she got a lot of hate, and like
she got hate from her own from the showrunners,
exactly
the own team.
And
she
wasn't and she and Candace weren't, I don't believe, were properly taken care of when it came to those situations by the network. The same way I feel about Javicia when she was cast on Batwoman as Ryanne. She immediately got a lot of hate because, one, you know, people just don't want to see Black people do anything, but two, she was replacing a white character who a lot of white queer people had already latched on to. Although the casting, I mean, it's not Javicia's fault that Ruby Rose left the show, so not really sure why they're so upset. But she got a lot of hate too. But even before she got to the show, Megan Tandy has also dealt with so much racist hate from people who watch the shows that she's on. I first saw Megan Tandy on Teen Wolf playing Brayden, another badass character who I absolutely love. And she got a lot of hate from that show when her character was paired with a white man on the show, who a lot of fans shipped in their head with another white man on the show. So she got a lot of hate from that. And then in season 1 as Sophie, she did get racist hate from fans who simply didn't want to see their fave Kate Kane fall in love with a Black woman. A lot of the times people, as we know, they don't want us to mix, and she definitely got a lot of hate from people watching that show. Her character, for some reason, got a ton of hate. But it's very unfortunate that it's still happening with Javicia's casting. Like, this should not have still happened. This should have never occurred. The network should have figured out what was up when Kat was on The Vampire Diaries. Candace never should have went through it. Megan should have never went through it. Javicia should have never went through it. I mean, Kat should have never went through it from jump, you know. But the network did seemingly nothing to protect these women. Instead, they had to lean on each other, to get through it. And it pisses me off because the white actors on the show, they don't get treated that way. It's always the Black.
So disgusting. It's so disgusting. And like, going back to Kat, just real quick, just to quickly vent, like, it's so disgusting what they did to Kat. Every time we write an article on Black Girl Nerds about the Vampire Diaries and what they did to Kat Graham, because she happens to follow us on Twitter, she retweets our tweets about our articles about how they treated her or mistreated her, because it was just so disgusting. And by, not only the fans, but like the showrunner, fellow cast members, and just being sidelined. And that brings me to this question about Batwoman. Do you think that there's a toxic culture there? Because even before Javicia got there, there was a lot of controversy with Ruby Rose. So do you think it's a cultural thing with the team there, Batwoman, that they just, I don't know, they don't like, lesbian characters or lesbian women. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Honestly, I'm really not sure. The fans of the show, I can say for sure their problem is that they're racist. As far as people behind the scenes, I definitely think that there may have been some issues because perhaps people weren't being heard. Like Megan did touch on the fact that a lot of her ideas, or I think maybe all of her ideas that she had for her character, she was told no to. And sometimes I think people who create these characters project themselves onto these characters, and it's really hard for them to want to go into a different direction once they've already done that. And I believe that was done with her character. So I wouldn't have been surprised if there was any issues in that sense. But also, I think this is why we need more Black queer people in writers' rooms when the cast and not the cast, the characters are Black queer people, because white queer people, sure, we can relate because we're both queer, but you'll never understand my experience as a Black woman, and you'll never really be able to tell that story. So why wouldn't it make more sense to have a Black queer person write that story? And I think that also the other thing is a lot of the time white writers don't know how to write for more than one Black person. They have their token Black person, and that's their dude. They're gonna put in all the stereotypes. They're gonna do whatever they need to do with that character. But then when another one comes in, they kind of like forget we're people, and you can just write the characters. Like it shouldn't really be that difficult. Like as a writer myself, I don't find it hard to write people of another race, but suddenly when you have two Black women who are like the main character, it's like they get stuck, and I find that to be extremely strange. But maybe I'm not looking at it objectively because I am a Black queer person, but that's the only way that I can look at it.
Yeah, that's how I felt to me, like looking through some of it. Like you never know for sure what they're going through, but like I saw some of the comments about Ruby Rose. Yeah, I think hers was like a workload thing that they keep confusing. I think, first of all, I don't like how they keep confusing what Ruby Rose went through and then bringing in Javicia Leslie. I think it's two different things.
Yeah,
I think she was definitely right. You know, she was definitely dealing with her workload. That was her world. She decided this is her. She needed to step away. So stop attaching that story to Javicia Leslie. Javicia Leslie's issue in the change of this cast, I agree with you, Jay, that I think it's like you have to learn how to write for these characters. They're not going to fit in what you already have. You know, like that's the whole point in having inclusion, diversity on screen, because you have to change up the storyline. You have to do it differently. So people see themselves reflected. And, you know, and it has to do with, like you're saying, the writer's room, behind the scenes. With the cancellation of Naomi, I feel like I don't worry about that show as much, and I'm hoping I'm correcting this, but because of the Black directors that are behind the scene, Ava DuVernay piloting this, I think she has something up her sleeve on a streaming service where she's probably going to take Naomi, so we can really have that, you know, that backing, because she has that production company. She is backing this show, right?
Yeah.
So it's about having those Black people, those people of color behind the scenes, like you said, in those positions that can make change and understand what's happening. That's what we're always talking about, not just in front of the camera, it needs to be behind the camera, somebody that understands how it works. Because if you put more than 5 people, because this show, the way Batwoman is expanding, if you put more of these characters of color on the screen, you better know how to write for them. You better take them out of this box. It can't just fit into what you think you saw in the comics and you can't change it. You know what I mean? Like you have to figure out how to make that work for everybody, despite like, you know, what's canon, what has it been in comics? Her hair has to look like this. Well, it's not, because she's a Black woman being the superhero. So it's not going to look like the comics. You know, you have to change it up. But yeah, I think it's like, I don't like how they're always mixing the Ruby Rose, the Javicia Leslie. It's two different, right. It's two different things, two different scenarios. You know, as far as what happened with Batwoman in those different seasons. And they just, like you said, they got to learn how to write for them. They got to write for these characters different. If they want to see some change, if this is what this network is going to continue to do, they need to have people behind the scenes writing for them.
That's what always bothers me about like it's virtue signaling. It's like, okay, we're going to look woke. We're going to create a show or make a movie with all of these Black characters. And then when you watch an awards show, and I'm not going to name any names, but a certain animated movie that has Black characters wins an award, and then you see all of the people that's behind the team of the animated movie that gets the awards, and it's a whole bunch of white people, and I'm like, why? I mean, this is supposed to be a Black animated movie with Black characters reflecting our experiences. Why is there a whole bunch of white people behind the scenes on this? So it always just, it really bogs my mind that, these kinds of stories are rarely told through our lens and our experiences. And someone in the comment, I think it was AS, that said, we need more Black queer writers. Yes. I mean, that is just so essential, especially for the story of Batwoman. Like, who can tell her story better through the lens of someone that's had her experience? I mean, It's just common sense. So why is this still a thing that's happening in this industry? And it would probably be better writing. Like, it would be a more relatable and interesting story. So yeah, until that happens, we're gonna deal with this same, vicious cycle over and over again. But what's the message that you want to get out there, Jade, to not only the fans, but maybe just casual observers of your campaign, as to how they can not only support, but what they would like to see with what happens with Batwoman after this phase?
Honestly, like, I would love for people to just continue to talk about Batwoman as much as possible, not just with people online, but with people in your real life. Like, I actually have told quite a few of my friends about Batwoman, and they've subsequently ended up speaking with other people about Batwoman and finding people coming back to me and being like, hey, my friend like she watched that show too. Like, and it's forming connections with people. Like I said, this group of people who helped, I mean, I'm not even gonna say help, we all did this together. It was a group project. I wouldn't have found them if it hadn't been for this show. And I care about them so deeply, and I know that there are other fans who have had kind of found a found family of sorts with other fans of this show. And as long as we're continuing to talk about it, I do believe that someone's going to see it eventually. Someone's going to take notice and see what we're doing, because the show, it's just a great show. I can't really speak objectively because I'm a Black woman and I'm queer, but seeing a Black woman play Batwoman kicking ass every week is the coolest thing that I have ever seen on television. Like, I don't care what anybody says. If you're not going to watch it for the politics or whatever, just watch it because it's a good show. Just watch it because Javicia Leslie is magic. All right. She's perfect as the role, in the role of Ryan Wilder for the show. And Megan Tandy is also so fantastic. Like, who wouldn't want to watch them together is what isn't making sense to me. But also just the representation that they provide has never been seen before, at least not by me personally. And I think it's important that we keep seeing that on television with these characters and with other characters, because these stories will inspire more stories. And Ryan and Sophie, they specifically speaking about Ryanne right now, she was homeless. She was put through the system and through the foster care system. She lost her parents. She went to prison for a crime that she did not commit. And she's a Black lesbian woman who went through all of those things. And that is absolutely insane to me, to see that story be told on television. And not only did she go through all of these things, but these things in a way led her to the suit and to becoming Batwoman. And so it's important that we continue to see that, because so many people can relate to that. There are so many people who can also, like I said earlier, relate to Sophie and her journey with the justice system and seeing things very black and white and realizing that that's just not the case. A lot of people have had that same experience. A lot of people have had to deal with the trauma that comes with coming out to your parents and them rejecting you, which we got to see in season 1. And that story is also very important. Not so much in the sense that, a lot of fans, they say they want to see reconciliation with the two characters. But there are a lot of people who say, hey, I didn't get that in my real life. I still don't talk to my parents. And I think that that's also an important story to tell, because while we all love a happy ending, sometimes that's just not the case. And I think those people also need to know that they're not alone. When you watch these stories, you realize that you're not alone. You realize there's other people like you, not only enjoying these stories, but who share your story. And I think it's very important. A lot of people who have had representation their entire lives will never understand what it's like to see yourself for the first time in the media, in television, in these movies. You know, cisgender, heterosexual white people, they've always been represented. They've always been themselves. Mm-hmm. So it's not out of the ordinary. When they watch TV, they have so many options. They can, you know, hate on as many shows as they want, because at the end of the day, there's going to be other stuff for them to watch that's going to have people who look like them, and we don't ever get that. And so it's strange to me that a lot of people can say, why is representation so important? It's important because we never had it. It's not important to you because you've always had it. And I personally, I think they need to mind their business about it, because it's not about them.
Mind your business.
So,
yeah.
You know, it's just people need to see that their lives aren't not to get dark, not worthless. I mean, a lot of people, their circumstances cause them to feel like they can never be the person they truly want to be, or they can never be a better person, or they can never be a different person. And if you're watching a Black woman who has struggled so much in her life, who was in the foster care system, who was homeless, who is a lesbian and has to deal with homophobia and everything that comes with that, who has trauma from losing her parents, from going to prison. Like, so many women can see themselves in those stories, and they don't ever get to see that on television. You know, we had Orange is the New Black on Netflix, and they, you know, immediately killed one of their most beloved characters, who was a Black queer woman. And
I hated that so much.
Yeah.
I was angry. I was filled with so much fury when that happened. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, you're fine.
You just triggered something in me.
I totally get it, and I stopped watching the show when that episode
me too.
aired, because I couldn't believe my eyes. You know, we have to deal with enough when it comes to the bury your gays trope that we see in television and movies, that we see so often that it's a trope. It shouldn't even be a thing at all. But we saw that on that show. And so while we did get to see some Black people, some Black women, some Black lesbians go through that experience with that show, that is not Ryanne's experience. You know, she was able to come out the other side. And both of those stories are important, but I don't think we necessarily need to see every single bit of our trauma on screen. We already go through that in real life. We didn't necessarily need to see that character die on Orange is the New Black, because we know it happens already.
And the way they killed her, it's just so traumatic. So Karina wants to know if we can ask, if she can ask a question. So Karina, if you have a question for Jade, fire away. And then we're gonna wrap up this show. Before we get to Karina's question, can you provide us the link too for where we can support? Because you're crowdsourcing the billboards, right?
Yeah, we're using GoFundMe. Honestly, if you search Save Batwoman GoFundMe, it'll come right up. And we also, if you can follow me on my Twitter page, we also I repost a lot about the GoFundMe on there as well. And there's a lot of information about the billboards, as well as pictures, footage over there as well.
Okay, cool. And then send me a link so I can link it into the description.
Gotcha.
Cool. Great. Karina, waiting for your question, and then we're going to wrap up the show. So fire away. Ryan, any last thoughts before we go?
No, Jade, it was so much fun talking to you, and I appreciate it, because like I said, I was in my feelings as well about this, and I was like, because I rolled through it with season 2, and I was like, I got so busy and I couldn't cover season 3 for Black Girl Nerds, and I was like, any little bit of promotion and keeping it out there for people to realize how amazing it was, and the 360 this show turned, and the chances they were taking. and wanting to see people take notes. So yeah, it's just so cool to get to talk to you and see what you're doing with these billboards. And I'm ready for the links so I can try to help out. And hopefully you keep us posted on what you got coming up next. And we'll keep this thing pushing.
Yeah, and thanks for tagging us on Twitter and letting us know about your campaign, because I would have known otherwise. I'm not really much on Twitter, so unless you tag me, I don't really know what's going on in the Twitter streets. So thank you for tagging me and allowing us to be aware of your campaign, so that way we can help you and give you guys the visibility that you need. So Karina says, I absolutely agree with you and feel like many in the writer's room who can't relate to that experience of being a Black girl, especially part of the LGBTQ community, will always reduce you to the typical token Black person. But if we're trying to promote more inclusion for Black LGBTQ members who are disabled, are disabled Black queers part of that conversation? I only ask because I've noticed in media, even when it comes to the LGBTQ community, if you have a third identity that's a disability, I guess I got cut off, but yeah, she wants to know, is it intersectional towards people with disabilities?
Is Batwoman intersectional toward people with disabilities, or am I?
I think she's asking about just talking about the writer's room and the experiences of being a fan.
She's saying, do you feel Black disabled LGBTQ members should be included in conversations related to media heroes? So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, just being disabled, like put it all together, should be included. Yeah, media conversation. Yeah,
absolutely.
Thank you, Ryan.
No, you're welcome.
You can't say Black Lives Matter and not include people who are also disabled, and they do definitely get forgotten way too often. And that is another reason why on a lot of shows where you have disabled characters, they are written in ways where a lot of people who are disabled in real life are like, that's weird. Like, that doesn't make any sense, because the people who are writing those characters have never actually been through that. They don't have that lived experience. They're not autistic. They're not bipolar. They may not be handicapped physically. That's also ridiculous to me. There's just so many intersections that people don't think about when it comes to how representation needs to play out on screen and behind the scenes as well. And I think that, along with the idea that a lot of Black people or queer Black people watching this show or others like it are seeing themselves in the characters for the first time and realizing things about themselves they wouldn't have realized without seeing those characters. Why aren't Black, queer, disabled people in those conversations as well? They should also get to see themselves on screen, and it's just not fair.
It's not. It's not. And the only, and she's not queer, but the only Black disabled superhero that I know of that's gotten some representation on screen is Misty Knight in Luke Cage. That's the only one that I know. So that is another conversation that needs to be brought up when we have these inclusion and diversity chats about our fandom and genre TV and movies. Is where is the intersectionality towards the disability community? So yeah, thank you, Karina, for bringing that up. Jade, it is a pleasure. You are amazing. I really appreciate you coming on our podcast to talk about Batwoman. I'm wishing you all the best. I think that you guys have a really strong shot at this, and given the record of campaigns in the past that have done billboard campaigns and being picked up by networks, I think you're pretty good to go on this. So thanks for coming on our show. Definitely email me the link so we can put it in the description. And I have an HBO Max subscription, so I look forward to seeing Batwoman when it's on HBO Max.
Yep, me too. Yep.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And thanks to all of you guys for tuning in. And I love that you guys, that your team supports you so well. You've got a lot of folks that really is in your corner, and that's it's beautiful to see that kind of love.
Yeah, it's so cool. Yeah, I've been seeing the comments. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Without all of them, none of this would be happening at all. They like to try to give me credit for everything, but I can't take full credit because without TQ helping me book these billboards, and without Sasha and Moy and Bam going out to see these billboards and taking the pictures and putting them on social media, like, people wouldn't have been ever taken notice. And then we have a lot of our other friends behind the scenes who've been helping us, Ashley in particular, with the flyers, with the locations of the billboards. Like, everyone's been doing such an amazing job. We also I can't remember if I mentioned this to you or not, Jamie, but our friend Lex actually moderated the Batwoman panel this past weekend at QFXCon in Tampa, and was able to meet Megan Tandy and Rachel Scarsden and Wallace Day, who played Kate Cannon in season 2. And so that was really cool to witness as well. I got to speak, a couple of us actually got to speak with Megan Tandy this past weekend, and I did ask her about the billboards, and she had seen them, and she's a fan of what we're doing, I would like to say. And Javicia has seen them as well. So yeah, and part of that is because of the people who are also behind the scenes, who are in your comments screaming about me. So yeah, it was definitely a group effort. Like, without any one of them, this never would have actually happened. And we're manifesting every single day that we wake up and go on Twitter, and the first thing we see is HBO Max has picked up Batwoman for season 4. So here's to hoping that that happens in the near future.
Fingers crossed.
Cross the fingers.
Absolutely. Yep. Well, let's just say this. When that happens, because we're speaking it into the universe, I want to have you back on the podcast to talk about it. How about that?
Yeah.
That's cool, but can I bring like a couple of my friends? Because again, I did not do this alone.
Absolutely.
I feel like you're probably gonna bring them more than a couple, but bring them on in. You know,
we'll have a party. We'll have some wine. We'll have a bottle of champagne, and we will toast and party.
Yep.
It'll be a party. We'll do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love that.
All right. Well, take care, Jade. Thank you so much, and thank you all for joining us on the podcast. And by the way, there will not be a podcast next week. I'll be in Anaheim at Disneyland for Star Wars Celebration. So I will not be streaming live, but we will be back the following week, and we'll just be talking about some really cool hot topics. And if there is a guest, I'll keep you posted. I'm going to keep that one secret for you for now.
But definitely follow BGN though, you guys. You don't miss these Star Wars tips and everything Jamie will probably be dropping for you guys. So
yeah. Follow us on the IG Live, follow us on the Twitters. You'll see some exclusives. If you're a Star Wars fan, follow, because you'll see some cool stuff coming out of Star Wars Celebration. So till then, we will see you next time. Thanks, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.